What if I took Macrocosmos from Astrologian, Expedient from Scholar, an insane amount of mobility, and yes, that includes literally flying around the battlefield. Oh, and I guess a side of Diet, Panheim, and Haima from Sage, and wrapped that up into a single healer that has a ton of spice of all its own flavor. Yeah, guys, I have genuinely had a blast with this healer, and I'm going to share my thoughts on the Preservation Evoker. Quite seriously, if elements of this were adapted into Final Fantasy XIV healing, I would be so beyond happy. Long story short, when I was in California in September through a series of very bizarre events, I actually got a beta key lobbed at me from the heavens, and so I played the Dracthyr quite a bit, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on it as a longtime Final Fantasy XIV healer main who has played far too much of this game. And going forward, maybe a lot more WoW, because I like this a lot. Truly, I can't commend the devs enough. They have made an excellent healer here. We'll quickly breeze through some basics, and then I'll get into what I find absolutely amazing about Evoker without bogging us down with too many details. I'm not going to go through every single passive because this video would be like 4 hours in length. First up is character customization, and I think the Dracthyr design is pretty fantastic to say the least, and the range of options and features to choose from is truly massive, especially for a game that is this old. You can really tell that a lot of love was put in here, and I genuinely think the team of developers who worked on this genuinely love their craft, because this is so well done and the love shows. I am really happy with how my character turned out, with one exception. I really wish I could make him bulkier. Even the strongest option still felt very slender for me. Let's really quickly go over the racials. I love Tail Swing and Wing Buffet because they provide innate ways to try and control packs of mobs, and I'll never say no to that. Obviously, it also gives the Dracthyr their own flavor. Find that really cool. I also dabbled in Mythic Plus and WoW, and I can see these being very handy. Gliding is also extremely fun passive. I'm not confident it's the most practical thing outside of niche situations, but if I'm super honest, it's helped me get around for sure. Maybe I have just led myself into those situations without realizing it, but I've grown attached to gliding for sure, and I would be really sad without it. Now, the racial soar I want to talk about a little bit here, focusing on it. It's an amazing ability, and I want to see it buffed. Yes, I know it was recently buffed, but it still isn't as strong as it really should be. When I'm on my dragon character, I want to fly around and genuinely feel that fantasy. I feel like this should be seriously improved before the public release on the 15th in the second part of the public access or whatever pre-patch. Now let's get into my highlights of the job, and there are a lot more than what I'm going to talk about in this video, but this is what I've enjoyed most. First thing that stands out above everything else for me is the mobility of this job is second to none. It is stunning, it is breathtaking, and I am not exaggerating. I feel mobile on the stage with my 45-second Icarus, but the mobility on the Evoker, it's obscene is not capturing it. There is feedback that I agree with, that I've heard other people talk about, that I've talked to other people about actually, with the cast times, that a lot of mobility feels lost because the core of these mobility abilities is awesome, but some of the cast times do bog you down at times. But even with that in mind, even sharing that verbally in a video, it's still insanely mobile. There are ways to get around those casts that I'm going to go over in a second. Pretty much constant 10% movement speed buff baseline, a rescue for allies that also moves you, which could be pretty amazing for the right or rather wrong situation. I'll put it this way, sometimes when I want to help someone else out, I actually need help myself. And so this ability is nice for that. A perfect human being, I am not. So obviously rescue can move you or your friend to the safe spot, but you can also jump to an ally and heal them similar to Icarus with 1/3 of the cooldown and that nice heal. I'm a fan already. Zephyr is literally the Scholar's Expedient with damage mitigation movement speed boost for the party. Obviously that's a winner. You also have crazy abilities like Dreamflight and Dragon Breath that let you literally traverse the entire field, and if you want you can stay there at the end where you drop off or zip back to the starting point. That's pretty crazy. And if that somehow wasn't enough for you, you also have the ability Hover, which zips you in any direction you want, similar to Dancers and Avant in 14, and lets you cast all spells without any cast time and 30% more movement speed for 10 seconds. And that stores up to 2 charges of it that return every 30 seconds, so that's pretty available. When I tried this out, I went like, what the hell am I playing? And that's one of the ways that you can manage those cast times I started this section out with. But back to what the hell am I playing? It's by far the most mobile healer I've ever played, and it's honestly kind of giving me my old Spellslinger Chua from WildStar. Like, I miss WildStar a lot, but this is absolutely reminding me of it, and I am absolutely a fan of that feeling. And if you weren't like just sold on mobility for yourself, they also hand out buffs to allies so that they can move faster, and it's like candy on Halloween. Blessing of the Bronze is insane. Just for you existing in the party, you give this buff to everyone, and you can pop Time Spiral whenever. It just gives everyone their movement ability, and it's utter madness. Now, the second big point after mobility and the buffs is that they quite literally have given the Evoker Astrologian's Macrocosmos, which is still a second to none S-Terry ability in 14. Rewind is lunacy because Macrocosmos is lunacy. In fact, they get a baby Macrocosmos with Golden Shower, which is attached to their heal over time effect. But wait, there's more. They actually get a Diet Panheimer from Sage with Temporal Anomaly. And oh yeah, what if I said they also get Expedient? I know I already said it in the video. So Blizzard basically took every Capstone Endwalker healer ability in 14 and smashed it into Evoker. And that's absolutely bloody brilliant. But let's talk about where Blizzard really made Evoker something really weird, something different. Starting off with time dilation, which I'd love to see in Final Fantasy XIV. You spread out as something like a tank buster damage into a manageable damage over time effect. That's like anti-benediction, and I absolutely love that. I could see this in 14 actually being really well used, really well used. I'm kind of scared to think of what we'd do with it. I'm thinking like P7S, oh, another condensed arrow. Oh, I'm gonna time dilation, it'll just invalidate it. Or how about this Echo ability? This is a core class fundamental of the Evoker, and I see it, and it's honestly, in my mind, like Sinistry on demand, which is an Astrologian skill. You can use it for cleave healing, focused healing. It's just a very great, very versatile ability. Now, what if I told you that there was something even dumber, like an ability that stored your last 3 abilities cast and then burst them all out at once on demand? I'm still laughing because like when I first saw this ability, I'm like, are you kidding? But this is actually a real thing, and that's Stasis. And without going too deep into the Evoker's details, some abilities can be enhanced, and those enhanced strengthened abilities absolutely blown all over. You know, like those kinds of videos? Yeah, it's blown all over the freaking place like those videos. I'm so stupid. Point being, their healing kit is so far extremely good. I'm skipping over their obvious Medica and Medica 2 equivalents because it's boring. Now let's talk about their damaging kit, and it's still not like a mind-blowing amount of juggling like a DPS in 14, but it's still really good for a healer. It will be stimulating. Let's talk about their bread and butter broil equivalent, Living Flame, or Glare on a White Mage. This ability has some very neat tricks to it though, which makes it a lot more than those abilities that I'd love to see some variant of in 14. First up is that it is both a basic damage spell and a basic healing spell. I think that's just really clever and reduces button bloat further, though I strongly discourage the use of Cure 1 or Physic. Talents make it so that your healing done by Living Flame amplifies the damage of your next damage cast of it. That's absolutely fantastic. I like that synergy. Obviously reduced rewards, but it's such a neat effect. They also have other talents that can enhance it too to interact with other abilities for pretty sweet bonuses. There's more, but these are my highlights. And for an ability similar in function to Broil, they really managed to flesh it out in cool ways. The rest of their damaging kit includes a cleave ability to hit 2 targets, and it can be talented to also slow them down, which is actually very useful. Crowd Control and Mythic Plus is actually very nice. They have a big charged up explosion of fire damage. They also have that over-the-top Bathe the Field in Flames from above ability that we showed before. They also have a Disintegrate, which I'd call their big DPS spender when they don't use their essences for healing. Kind of think about it like Scholar using Energy Drain when they don't need the Aether Flow stacks. Moving on from the DPS kit, there's just so much to the kit that I want to talk about it, but I'd be here for hours. They have Shield Break, MP Battery effect for another healer. They have Metric Ton of Talents that they can focus into crowd control or enhance allies' crowd control effects even. They can interrupt casts, which is something that I missed from healers in 14, Rip Celine. I'm gonna stop there because I know people want a shorter video on my thoughts, and I genuinely had a blast with the Evoker. It is one of the best healers that I've ever played in any game. I truly didn't expect to enjoy it this much, and I'm actually very much excited to take it into Mythic Plus. That does it for my thoughts on the Dracthyr Evoker. Absolutely love it. But if you guys want to help me out as a smaller creator, I would super incredibly appreciate it if you dropped a Dracthyr Evoker on that like button and can't tag that subscribe button. Take care everyone, I hope you have a great day.